The 2024 Academy Awards were full of celebrities wearing a bunch of interesting looks, delivering moving speeches, and of course, reminding us that they too are human with some cringy, unscripted moments. But I mean, what's an award show without a few delightfully awkward moments? So in this video, we're going to be looking at the top 10 2024 Oscar scandals that spark controversy. First up, we have Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling fighting on stage. The two actors took to the stage together to present an award, and they jokingly argued about Barbenheimer, which is the cultural phenomenon that surrounded last summer's theatrical release of Barbie and Oppenheimer in July. Ryan said, "I'm just happy we can finally put this Barbenheimer rivalry behind us." To which Emily said, "The way this award season has turned out, it wasn't that much of a rivalry, so just let it go." Ryan then said, "It's true, you guys were doing so well, congratulations. But you know, I think I kind of figured out why they call it Barbenheimer, and they didn't call it Oppenbarbie. I think you guys are at the tail end of that because you were riding Barbie's coattails all summer." At this point, the audience erupts in laughter because it is such a good joke. The movie's made Hollywood history by unexpectedly breaking records at the box office and winning big love from audiences and critics alike. Speaking about Barbie, we have to talk about Ryan Gosling's performance. He performed I'm Just Ken at the Oscars, and it was a showstopper. Billie Eilish was seated next to him, and she couldn't keep it together as he sang those opening lyrics and transformed the stage into an explosion of pink with woodblocks, cowboys, dancing Kens, and spinning Barbie. At one point, Ryan went into the front row and had his Barbie castmates singing along. Even the Oscars cameraman held his hand. So why was this all so controversial? Well, the performance itself was good, but a lot of people seemed to be frustrated that the song was so successful. It earned a 2024 Grammy nomination in the category for Best Song Written for Visual Media, even though it was kind of meant as a joke. But it actually ended up cracking the Billboard Hot 100 list and broke the internet. The Barbie soundtrack received a whole lot of love from the Recording Academy because it got 11 nominations for this year's ceremony. Next, we have to mention the chaotic moment that John Cena walked on stage naked, only wearing Birkenstocks. He was ironically presenting the Best Costume Design Award, which ultimately went to Poor Things. While at the microphone in front of the celebrity crowd, he joked about the importance of clothes before eventually Jimmy Kimmel threw him a gown to cover himself up with, and thank God for that. But as it turns out, he wasn't in danger of flashing anyone at all. Although he looked fully naked when he took the stage, backstage photos show that he was wearing a protective garment that covered his private parts. The beige-colored protective clothing looked like a piece of underwear, and it covered him in the back and the front. John Cena's supposedly nude moment was meant to be an homage to a famous Oscars incident, when in 1974 a naked man ran behind host David Niven as he introduced Elizabeth Taylor to present the award for Best Picture. This year's host Jimmy Kimmel said, "Can you imagine if a nude man ran across the stage today? Wouldn't that be crazy?" To which Cena said, "I changed my mind, I don't want to do the streaker bit, I just don't feel right about it. It's an elegant event, you know. Honestly, you should feel ashamed right now for suggesting such a tasteless idea." So all in all, it was a little cringe, but it was mostly pretty funny. But Jimmy Kimmel also found himself in hot water after he cracked a joke about Robert Downey Jr.'s past addiction in his opening monologue. It was his fourth time hosting the event since 2017, but clearly he still has not learned how to make a tasteful joke. He started his opening monologue playfully taking aim at a number of celebrities in the crowd, like Christopher Nolan, Ryan Gosling, and Cillian Murphy. But one joke that really fell flat with viewers was made at Robert Downey Jr.'s expense. He made a comment referencing the actor's past history of substance use, saying, "This is the highest point of Robert Downey Jr.'s career." Well, one of the highest points. The camera then panned to him in the crowd as he tapped his nose in response. Then Jimmy doubled down, saying, "Was that two on the nose or an actual motion you made?" At that point, Downey Jr. just looked annoyed by the joke and gestured for Jimmy to just move on. Talk about awkward. The reason his past is such a touchy subject is because of how dark it was for him. In his early career, Downey Jr. faced substance addiction and various related charges. In 1999, he served 12 months in prison after repeatedly missing court-ordered tests. He's been sober since July of 2003 and has since managed to have an amazing Hollywood comeback. But none of it was easy, as you could probably imagine. In fact, he said he lived through 30 years of dependency, depravity, and despair before making his comeback back as the star of Marvel's Iron Man in 2008. So with all this considered, it's no wonder viewers have taken issue with the joke and called out Jimmy Kimmel for making light of his past struggles. One person wrote, "Kimmel's gross jokes about Robert Downey Jr. reinforce the stigmatizing belief that no matter how long you've been sober, your use will always define you." At another point in his speech, Jimmy also roasted the recent box office bomb Madam Web, saying, "This night is full of enormous talent and untold potential, but so was Madam Web." And of course, that joke was much better received. Now let's talk about his mention of Greta Gerwig. He also cracked a joke about the Barbie director not receiving a Best Director nod, saying, "Now Barbie is a feminist icon thanks to Greta Gerwig, who many believed deserved to be nominated for Best Director tonight. Hold on a second, I know you're clapping, but you're the ones who didn't vote for her. Don't act like you have nothing to do with this." This was a really interesting take considering how many people were outraged by the snub, and it was a good joke compared to the horrible one at the Golden Globes. If you remember, Joe Coy, the 52-year-old comedian, totally bombed on stage. All of his jokes fell flat with the audience. He patronized Greta Gerwig's achievement by comparing Barbie's source material, which he called a doll with big boobies, to Oppenheimer's Pulitzer Prize winning source material. When the audience didn't respond positively, he doubled down, adding that he watched Barbie and he really did love it. Then he tried to cover up the generally unfunny sexism with what we're sure felt like a moment of equality. He said, "I don't want you guys to think that I'm a creep, but it's kind of weird being attracted to a plastic doll. It's just something about your eyes, Ryan and Margot, it's not always about you." So yeah, that wasn't great. Now let's talk about all the tumbles. The 2024 Oscar attendees were a little messy this year, but very relatable, especially when they stumbled, tripped, and accidentally bumped into things at this year's ceremony. Like truly, we could not think of more relatable celebrities than Kirsten Dunst, who tripped on a statue, and Liza Koshy, who fell on the red carpet, because they did handle the moments with the most grace. And besides, these incidents were nothing compared to what happened to Jennifer Lawrence, who had just won her first ever Oscar when she lived her most embarrassing moment in front of the entire world. While she was excitedly walking up to accept her Best Actress win for Silver Linings Playbook in 2013, she fell on the stairs while going up to accept that award. At the time, she said the trip was extremely humiliating, but it ended up becoming one of her most iconic award show moments ever. Moving on to Emma Stone's reaction. During the ceremony, an edited montage from Poor Things was shown on screen, and after that, Jimmy made a joke saying that those were the only scenes that they could show on network television. The movie was nominated for a staggering 10 Oscars, but yes, it also had a lot of nudity and other explicit scenes. At this joke, the camera then pans to Emma Stone's face in the audience, and she doesn't seem to be too happy with what he said about her film. She's seen mouthing something to her husband in reaction to the comments, and viewers are convinced that she said something along the lines of, "What a prick." She could have also said something else, but according to lip readers, that is the phrase that best fits her lip movements. So maybe she was genuinely sick of the person hosting. Emma Stone also went through a major wardrobe malfunction while accepting an award. She won in the category of Best Actress and walked up to the stage to give her acceptance speech. It didn't take long for the audience to notice something was a little off. She was seen awkwardly gripping and motioning to the back of her dress. Turning around before starting her speech, she gave the crowd a good look at the back of her gown, which was gaping after the zipper gave up on her. She turned to the microphone saying, quote, "My dress is broken. I think it happened during the I'm Just Ken." Besides being a bit flustered, she was able to finish up her speech and then hobble off stage, still holding her dress together in her hands. Thankfully, it all turned out okay because she was able to be sewn back into it before she stepped inside the press room. Moving on, a lot of criticism came from the snubbing of Lily Gladstone. Almost everyone expected her to win Best Actress for her role in Killers of the Flower Moon. It would have made up for the film being iced out of the other categories. Then Emma Stone's name was called out and that was it. While fans felt that she certainly deserved to win, it was hard not to think of what a statement it would have made to honor Lily Gladstone. It wasn't just that she was the lead of Killers of the Flower Moon, but she would have also made history as the first Indigenous woman to win an Oscar for Best Actress. It was just such missed opportunities on behalf of the Oscars. Lastly, let's talk about Al Pacino's bizarre presentation. Viewers were left disappointed after sitting through a 3-hour ceremony to watch the actor's unconventional delivery of the Best Picture winner. While the 83-year-old icon received a standing ovation when he took the stage, things took an awkward turn minutes later when he didn't follow the traditional listing of the nominees in the category before announcing the winner. Instead, Al Pacino simply told the audience 10 wonderful films were nominated, but but only one will take the award for Best Picture. And I have to go to the envelope for that. Here it comes. Looking at the paper, he said, and without building any suspense at all, "And my eyes see Oppenheimer." He then read the names of the producers before the cast rose to their feet to accept the accolade. Needless to say, everyone had an opinion about that strange moment, with many calling it the most anticlimactic announcement ever. On Twitter, one person wrote, "Al Pacino announcing Oppenheimer as Best Picture win with the casualness of announcing what he wants to eat for dinner at Chili's. This is why I watch the Oscars." Another person said, "Did Al Pacino just mess up the biggest category of the evening?" There were even some people calling it a La La Land 2.0, which was the infamous Best Picture announcement of 2017, where the musical film was mistakenly announced as the winner instead of Moonlight. So what did you think about the Oscars this year? Please let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.